Well, you probably have had a customer service nightmare. It seems like that's the pet peeve. That's the bugaboo for corporate America and has been for many years. Getting good customer service, it just doesn't seem easy. But there are some things that can set a business apart in terms of providing good customer service, and that's, of course, what they want to be known for. With us is someone who has a whole lot of expertise, and that she is a customer service expert across the country. She's been with us before, and I'm so glad she's back. Royalyn Reid. Hello, Royalyn.
Hey, Mary. How are you? Glad to be with you.
Well, thank you. It's nice to talk to you again. Happy holiday season, by the way.
Thank you. You too.
Well, and this time more than others throughout the year is when we're, for the most part, doing more shopping and all, hoping to get good customer service when we shop. How do we get that? How does a consumer ensure that we are treated well, if I can put it that way? And what can businesses do to make sure that they are providing good customer service?
Well, you know, Mary, that's a very good question. One thing I think is important to remember is there is such a thing as being a good customer, and sometimes we forget that. Of course, we're in the hustle and bustle, and we know what we need and what we want, and unfortunately, we know customer service oftentimes falls short of that. There are some basic tips of how to be a good customer. One is just really kind of watch your words and what you say to people, even when you get upset.
And this is true, I'm sure, just to set the stage, if you are standing at a checkout counter or if you are on the phone.
Absolutely. And as you just stated, no matter where you are, is stay calm. That's very important. Now, one thing I think that helps you to stay calm, too, is being organized, know what you want and need. But also, on another part, is remember you're dealing with another human being. A lot of times, these customer service representatives, they're people just like us. They're working, trying to make a living. And a lot of times during the holidays, they hire seasonal workers. They may or may not have been trained. And, you know, sometimes it can be so irritating when you're ready to check out and there's 3 lines open out of 10 lines. And, you know, we get upset with the salesperson, but they're usually not even the decision maker.
Yeah, and that's what I think we need to remember, because it's like, you know, what's that expression, kill the messenger, and that really is what customer service or sales clerks are. They're not the decision makers. They are just delivering the message that may be the policy of that corporation that they have to abide by, but they're not the ones who made the policies.
Absolutely. You're so correct about that. Another thing that can just really, you know, be irritating is when you're trying to reach the right customer service person. And, you know, so often with companies, there's so many layers and so many numbers that you're trying to get to. That can just be a headache and take so long. There is one thing that's available now that is pretty neat, and it's called gethuman.com. And what that is that you can go to that website if you're struggling to reach a live person. If you go check out that website, they have, you know, almost 1,000 different companies there. You can put the company's name in, and it tells you various customer service numbers that you can successfully reach someone and the best time to call, and a lot of good information like that. So that's another resource that is now available.
I have never heard that before, Royalyn. Gethuman.com.
Absolutely. So that's something else to put in our toolbox. The other thing to look at, too, is, you know, once you've tried everything, you work to stay calm, you're dealing with someone who can't assist you and give you what you need. Of course, a lot of times we always hear escalated to a supervisor or manager. Sometimes they don't want to pass it along. And if hopefully that works. If it does not work, another thing that is good to look at is social media. Now, of course, with social media, we oftentimes hear people put in their complaints and it goes viral. That is something to do. That I would say that should be the last thing you to do. But especially in terms of using social media as a tool to get what you need, is many companies now actually really monitor their social media sites. And they are very responsive when you say good things about them, but also with bad comments. So with them monitoring that, and they know the power of social media, sometimes that can also help you get to someone quickly, because the goal, what you want to do, is get your need met and get past the barriers that you are experiencing.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Speaking with customer service expert, she has been on the show before. Royalyn Reid is with us. And I was going to ask you that very question. Are you suggesting that if someone is unhappy, frustrated, just plain annoyed with company X, and every company, small, medium, and large, has a website and usually a Facebook page these days, are you saying that it can be effective to write a gripe on their Facebook page?
Absolutely. And even too, Mary, you can write the gripe or the area, but when you think about it, is you're trying to achieve something. You're trying to purchase something from a company. You're trying to get service met, a service need met, and it's not happening. So what do you want to achieve? Do you want to vent and get back at the company, or do you want to get your need met? So if you do want to get your need met, go to the social media page and say, I have been trying for hours and I've been getting the runaround. I would like to purchase this product, or I would like to return a product. I need some help. Can you help me? And let them respond that way to get your need met. That's what I would highly recommend, because most times that's what we really want, even when we're angry. Versus if you vent and you send it viral and say, this company is bad, they do X, Y, and Z, you have a release and maybe a temporary relief, but if you still want to get that need met, I would just make that your priority.
That the way you worded that, Royalyn, that's a very good way to write that. So no expletives, of course, no swear words on a business's Facebook page, but really you're asking for assistance. You're getting the point across that you are frustrated, but you're looking to them for help as opposed to just yipping about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, makes sense. Now, because I've struggled with this, by the way, over the years, just in terms of you're talking to a customer service rep, and again, I'm thinking largely on the phone. Those 1-800 numbers that can be quite exasperating. At what point do you think it's advantageous to ask to speak to a supervisor?
I think, Mary, of course, once you've already talked to them and you see you're not getting anywhere, usually you'll know pretty quickly, one is the person cannot help you, they don't have the knowledge or the skill set, or they're just short and don't want to do it. Then you pretty much know you're not going to get that person, your need met with that person. That's a good time to take it to the next level and just say, is there someone else? I appreciate what you're doing, but is there someone else who can answer that question for me?
And, I contend, and this is something, Royalyn, having nothing to do with customer service, but just kind of like life in general, and that would roll into customer service. I think it really depends on not even what you say as much as how you say it. The tone, the inflection, the words.
Absolutely.
All the difference in the world.
Mary, you're so right. And we used to call that common sense or common courtesy. It is still good sense, and it is good to be courteous. And once again, there is such a thing in customer service called situational power. And what that means is a salesperson or a representative usually has some leeway. And when you treat them a certain way, most times they will use that for you versus say, no, I can't help you. So, and I just keep going back to the point is sometimes when we get frustrated, we lose sight of the focus of the goal is to get our needs met, get the product, get the service, or get an issue resolved. So that's what you want to do. So if you can get it done with the person you have on the phone, that would save you time and energy. As we talked about, if you know that it's not happening, and you'll know pretty soon if you need to escalate that or ask for someone else, or if you need to talk to a supervisor and go to the next level.
And before I let you run, Royalyn, do you agree that the old adage, that you get more with honey than with vinegar. Is that still true?
It is still true. Some of those principles do not change, as you have stated. They still work today.
They still work today. Okay, good to know. Our customer service expert, Royalyn Reid, I put a link to your website on ours this morning. I hope it's the right one, thecmiteam.com. Is that right, Royalyn?
That is correct.
Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful Christmas season.
Thank you. You too, Mary.
We'll stay in touch. Well, I will say, speaking to Royalyn about customer service, I was just reminded, and I won't mention the name of the company, but my husband, Morgan, just 2 weeks ago had to call a major company, national company, that most of us have an account with, and something was going wrong with the account, and they hadn't set something up the way they were supposed to, and he was frustrated, but I was there listening to him, and he wasn't conveying his frustration. He was really just trying to work with the person, and she offered to transfer him to her supervisor. He hadn't even asked, but she thought her supervisor might be able to resolve it, and that was appreciated. Well, long story short, both the supervisor and it ended up being transferred back to her, the original customer service person. They were both so impressed, maybe surprised by his nice demeanor and friendly demeanor, that they both individually, separately offered discounts on what we needed to buy, which costs $150. They both took $50 off. He didn't ask them to take off any money. He didn't even request that, but they both did. So I do think that sugar gets you farther than vinegar. I'm just saying.